Renaissance from the 1200s, 1300s, 1400s.
And they're doing that part?
They're doing the Renaissance part. Then we sing the newer version.
Which is what?
Gregory Perfect.
What year was that? Like
And then a few times we all sing together. But the conductor, Ryan Turner, sings a solo.
But he does?
He sings a solo. And he sings with that group.
Oh, nice.
I think he's in the group. No, it's Camarada. He sings with it. He's part of, and they get into the play. It's not just like this baritone singing. They get into it. Like one scene is in a tavern scene. And they're and they really get into it. It's great. I know. They were the Stein, and because they're supposed to be like drinking. It is basically it was written by monks. You know, what it was called.
Good morning. Welcome to the First Religious Society Unitarian Universalist in Newburyport, Massachusetts. I'm Ray Wilson, and I am the worship associate this morning. I'm delighted to welcome you, every one of you, to our church. If you are joining us for the first time, a special welcome. We're glad you're here. We come together at FRS, online and in person, committed to love, peace, and justice. Our mission and our invitation to all of you is to come as you are, journey together in love, act with courage, and transform our world. If you are worshiping online, to access the morning's order of service, please click on the link just below the live stream. I would like to draw your attention to many activities and events happening here at the church. Today, that includes in the lower meeting house at 5 p.m., a showing of the 60-minute documentary, Islam and an Empire of Faith. This documentary is an overview of the beginning of Islam with details of why Islam was so appealing to the masses. Again, this takes place in the lower meeting hall this afternoon at 5. Thank you to everyone who completed the survey for next year's monthly worship themes. You'll hear more as time goes on. We want to answer one question that was submitted. Reverend Rebecca preaches from the upper pulpit because it is the one place in the sanctuary where everyone can see, no matter where they are seated or online. This is not true when we speak from the chancel below. Thank you to everyone who came to our amazing auction Friday evening, and a special thank you to all who made the evening such a smashing success. I'm particularly glad to be worship associate on New Member Sunday. This event always reminds me of the time when I joined this church 23 years ago. For every one of you signing the book this morning, I wish you find here a spiritual home which will enrich your life for many years to come. And just one more. We have reached 97% of our goal to enable the inspiring and healing work of our beloved community in the coming year. So our annual pledge campaign the campaign is officially over. However, if you have been on the fence or wondering, or if you would even like to add to your pledge, the ushers can give you a pledge card at the offertory. Remember these words from our own Reverend Rebecca. This is our church. Thank you. It is good to be together.
Indeed, it is good to be together, both in person and online. I said to someone standing outside who asked if they could stand in the doorway for the service and just let the sun shine upon them, that I think we all get extra, points or whatever Unitarian Universalists get for being here on such a bright and beautiful day. I also want to share that indeed the auction was such an amazing evening and experience and success in so many ways. The power of us being together and laughing and sharing and stories and food and bidding on great items, many of which were created by members and friends of our community, welcoming friends in the larger community to be with us. It will live in my heart every day through the year to come, for sure. Our call to worship this morning are words of Unitarian poet E.E. Cummings, familiar perhaps to many of you. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and a blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I who have died am alive again today, and this is the sun's birthday. This is the birthday of life, and of love, and of wings, and of the gay, great happening, illuminatively earth. How should tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing, any, lifted from the know of all nothing, human, merely being doubt, unimaginably you. Now the ears of my ears awake, and the eyes of my eyes are opened. Now the ears of my ears are awake. The eyes of my eyes are opened. You are faithfully called to worship.
Good morning. Please join me in the words of the chalice lighting. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest, truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
Each Sunday, we also light 2 candles of peace. And I wanted to take a moment to share this morning where this tradition came from and why we do it and its purpose. This also was asked that came out of the worship survey, and I can't but help myself but offer that context. This started years ago in New London, Connecticut, when the awareness of people became more clearly focused upon the unaccepting deaths and killings of Black, particularly young men in our country. And parishioners said to me and to the other minister in that congregation, we have to do something. We come into our sanctuary every Sunday and it's joyful to be together, and yet these things are happening outside our doors. So how is it that we can come into these beautiful, beautiful spaces of our Unitarian Universalist congregations around this country, caring so deeply for justice as we do? How can we both and, this is my theology, both and acknowledge the pain and the injustice and the things that are happening in the world, and create space for worship, for refilling, for celebrating, for being grateful? That, my friends, is why each Sunday we lift up 2 places so that we can hold the fact of what's happening in the world and allow ourselves to be filled with the love, the inspiration, the contemplation, and the joy of our gathered community. This morning, our first candle is lit for Pasadena, California, and particularly for our congregation there and their neighbors and friends at the Buddhist temple and at the Episcopal Church, where there have been extreme threats of violence and vandalism on these properties for their stances of radical inclusivity and specifically support of the LGBTQ+ community. We stand up against such bias and hateful acts, and we affirm our commitment to being a welcoming congregation for LGBTQ+, for all people, that this may be a place of welcome, of sanctuary, of acceptance, of love, of honor. And may our friends across the country know that we are lighting this candle for them today. To this we respond, peace, sol, shalom. Our second candle this morning of peace is lit for areas of the world where the sacred holiday of Vesak was just celebrated. Particularly think of Sri Lanka, Nepal, India, and many other places. Vesak is the most sacred of all Buddhist holidays. It honors the Buddha's birth, the Buddha's enlightenment, and the Buddha's passing. With respect for the Buddha's teachings and life, we respond, peace, sol, shalom. Please rise in body or in spirit. Let's join our voices in hymn number 1000 in your teal hymnal, Morning Has Come. Let's join our voices in our affirmation of faith, followed by our doxology. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
So
Please be seated. Membership in a Unitarian Universalist congregation is an amazing, amazing, and foundational expression of our faith, both Unitarian and Universalism. Unitarian Universalists join the congregational communities of religious belief. The congregational communities where the power of the community is what leads and guides and runs, rules, expresses, and envisions that congregation. Not a higher person, not one way, not one bureaucracy, but the gathered congregation and community. This is a sacred expression of our belief in democracy, of our belief in diversity, of our belief in shared power and vision. For this is our church. So this is indeed a sacred and special and joyous day, where we welcome our newest members and where I always invite all of us to recommit within our own selves to both our faith and to this congregation. For you are the congregation. We are the congregation. At this time, I'd like to invite our newest members to come forward, and as always, anyone who is so moved to make that step today is welcome to come forward here to the chancel so we can engage in a shared ritual. All right, let's see if I can do this here. Is this on? Yes, all right. So we have this sacred day, we have 5 new members joining us, and 2 of whom are unable to be here in person. So you may recognize some of our longer term members who are holding their space, which is a beautiful thing. Just in case anyone was wondering. So to our newest members who are here with us this morning, both in body and in spirit, do you, the newest members of our congregation, promise to bring your whole self to this place? This includes sharing your gifts, your beauty, your talents, your pains, the parts of you in need of healing, so that we may grow stronger as a congregation and more whole in our shared humanity. We do. Do you bring a commitment to the principles of Unitarian Universalism? We do. Do you bring a commitment to community? We do. Do you bring a commitment to love? We do. I can invite our members to rise, please, in body or spirit, both in person and online. Members of the First Religious Society, Unitarian Universalist in Newburyport, Massachusetts, do you welcome these new members into our church community, covenanting to walk together with them in our shared spiritual and life journeys? We do. Do you promise to be open to what they bring to our beloved community? We do. Will you seek to be in right relationship with them and all who will follow them through these doors? We will. And now, for our children and youth, you get to scream in church so we can hear you. Children and youth, do you welcome these new members to our community? Will you share your gifts, your love, and your light with them? And will you get to know their gifts, their love, and their light? Love it. Okay, if we have other friends and guests with us this morning, I invite you to rise, please, in body or spirit. To all who are gathered here today, to all of us on our various stages of our life journeys and relationships with this congregation, are you open to the possibilities that love brings? We are. Please join me in greeting and welcoming our newest members. The words are in your order of service. We welcome you, our newest members, and celebrate our beloved community. Thank you, everyone. Join together now in hymn number 311. If you'll rise again, please, as we do each time we greet our new members by singing Let It Be a Dance. And the children will go down to Young Church during this time. So rise in body or spirit. Thank you. Please be seated.
The generosity of our community is an essential ministry that supports the work of the church, both in Newburyport and beyond. Each week, 50% of the Sunday offering not designated as a pledge goes to a local community engaged in important efforts to transform our region. Half the collection today will support Emmaus Incorporated. Emmaus Incorporated yearly serves more than 2,000 homeless men, women, and children from the Merrimack Valley and North Shore. On any given night, roughly 300 people call Emmaus home. More than 80,000 meals are served yearly to shelter residents, and many housing and program participants receive emergency food from Emmaus's food pantry. 91 cents of every dollar raised goes directly to Emmaus programs. In order to give online, please use the link in your order of service or below the live stream. You can also make a contribution by text, and of course you can always mail the church a check as well. Thank you. The offering will now be gratefully received.
This is a time in our service where we lift up the joys and the sorrows of our beloved faith community. Our pastoral care associate, Susan Ricker, will be lighting candles as I share what has been sent to me in advance and written in our journal this morning. Minnie Flanagan asks that we light a candle of honor and that we bask in the glow of her mother's 108th birthday. If she's here in spirit. We know, Minnie says, she's here in spirit, shimmering in the glorious light of our shared sanctuary. With love, Mom, from Minnie. Carol Kilty asks that we light a candle of honor and memory and care as she shares that her lifelong and dearest friend, Carol Harris Clark, died last week quite suddenly. So we light this candle in honor of Carol, in honor of friendship, and in love and care for Carol as well. A member of our community asks that we light a candle of concern with the intention of new beginnings for all members, including this one who shared, but all members who are working very hard to let things go that will free them from the past and allow them to live here and now. We light a candle of joy and celebration for Alex Maisie and Tom Stites, who will be celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary tomorrow. I happen to know they'll be enjoying oysters, as they did on one of their first dates. And we light a candle, as we do each Sunday, for all of the joys and all of the sorrows that, although unspoken, are held in just as much love and care. I invite us now into a time of centering, a time of prayer, a time of focus and meditation. Spirit of spring, of renewal, of blooming, spirit of life and love and death and remembrance that is eternity. Allow us now to bask in your reality, in the reality that we are here. We are part of this amazing interconnected web of life, here on a planet spinning around in a galaxy, here on a planet, each and every one of us, so essential and so small. We can become lost, mired down in worries of the day or things long past. We can forget that we are indeed part of stardust, that we are held together by the invisible energies and forces that make up reality. We can think we are alone and separate. May we allow life to whisper in our ears, saying, "You are here now. Pay attention. Be delighted. Allow yourself to know that you belong." Amen. Thank you, choir. And I'll be offering our reading as Ray is over yonder. Our reading is entitled The Second Music by Annie Lightheart Ray. By Annie Lightheart. The second music. Now I understand that there are two melodies playing, one below the other, one easier to hear, the other lower, steady, perhaps more faithful for being less heard, yet always present. When all other things seem lively and real, this one fades. Yet the notes of it touch as gently as fingertips, as the sound of the names laid over each child at birth. I want to stay in that music without striving or cover. If the truth of our lives is what it is that is plain, the telling is so soft that this mortal time, this irrevocable change becomes beautiful. I stop and stop again to hear the second music. I hear the children in the yard, a train, and then birds. All this is in it and will be gone. I set my ear to it as I would to a heart. I hear the laughter outside. That was delightful. That was really, really nice. I'm going to go off script for just a moment. Someone had asked about services this summer, and because we are at that time of year when things scatter and yet many of us want to know where's the hub of the wheel, I just wanted to let you know what's happening. We will be having services this year through July, and then we will be closed for the month of August to give our staff a well-deserved break after many years of COVID. Upcoming, we have Young Church at Atkinson Common, and look in the steeple, you don't have to remember all this, but there are many good services to come, including our Young Church Sunday at Atkinson Common, our Welcoming Committee or Pride service. We have our annual meeting on June 11th, and at that service, I will be offering my reflections of the past 5 years. So I would hope you'll join us, both for those thoughts and for our business meeting. Someone's calling. How perfect that is. How divine, truly. That second music, which in spiritual teachings all over the world is talked about in different names. Oh, how words limit the truth. Oh, how words limit the truth. But the truths are found in all parts of life. In fact, truth is repeating and everlasting. So that second music, who's calling? I ask you, have you heard it? What happens when we stop willing ourselves onto life and let life speak to us? Wherever you go, there you are. Wherever you go, there you are. Derives from a stanza originally in a devotional book written in Latin in the 1400s. And the actual quote from that book reads this, or the stanza. It says, "The Imitation of Christ," was the name of the book, "run where you will, for wherever you go, you take yourself with you, and you will always find yourself." More recently, "Wherever you go, there you are," was the foundation of John Kabat-Zinn's book, "Wherever You Go, There You Are," Mindfulness Meditations in Everyday Life, published in 1994. And here is what he wrote. When it comes right down to it, wherever you go, there you are. Whatever you wind up doing, that's what you've wound up doing. Whatever you are thinking right now, that's what's on your mind. Whatever has happened to you, it has already happened. Wow. Minnie, could you ask your mom to stop intervening so much? Or maybe I'll be quiet and we'll just let Spirit teach us. Whatever has happened to you, it's already happened. The important question is, this is John Kabat-Zinn, the important question is, how are you going to handle it? In other words, he wrote, now what? Life is our greatest spiritual teacher. The theme of this month is, in fact, spiritual teachers. Life is our greatest spiritual teacher. This is good news. It's not to say that there are not hardships in life. Of course there are. None of us escape them. Some have tragedies that are beyond our imagination. Some sitting right here, some next door, some around the corner and across the globe. So I am by any means diminishing that. And even if we don't have such extreme things happen to us, we all experience hardship in life at some time. Unrequited love, dreams that didn't come to pass, a loss of someone we love or physical capacities. And yet, along with that, we are also given countless opportunities to experience great joy, wonder, and even awe. Life offers us chances every day to grow, to learn, and to deepen. We like to think we are open and growing, and yet, are we? Or are we habituated, reactive, blind to our own stagnation, which is part of the human condition? So what have you learned today, just today? When did you last admit you were wrong or change your mind about something you were sure was true? How have you changed over the last year or two? You know, I never preach guilt, shame, or blame, for guilty as charged, always. I ask us to step back, to take a moment and see where we are asleep. Last week, I had a delightful and illuminating experience of Zooming with a friend of mine from middle and high school. We found each other on social media. We hadn't talked in over 30 years, well over. And when we made the appointment, I just knew it was right. And I only had a little bit of resistance to it as it got closer, but I knew it would be good. What I didn't know in that hour and 20-minute Zoom was that I would rediscover parts of myself I had forgotten. I laughed harder in that conversation than I have since I was in my early 20s. We laughed so hard. She said to me, "Do you remember that first time that we drank together? Do you remember lying on the floor trying to zip up our Jordache jeans? Do you remember lying on the floor crying that you were not pretty? So many memories came flying back, and I laughed and laughed. As I walked down the stairs, Bart, my husband, said to me, "How was it?" And I said, "I found parts of myself again." I realized how much changed in me, from the funny lying on the floor to zip-up, skin-tight Jordache jeans, as was the custom, it wasn't just me, to things much deeper and more complex. However, I also realized how much hasn't changed. Some of the things she asked me, I thought in chagrin, "Oh, I did that then. I struggled with that then, and I still do today." She said to me, "You were such a hard worker." And I laughed. And I wondered what drove me then and what drives me today. Nature, nurture, both. Regardless of what has happened or will happen in our lives, life is our greatest spiritual teacher. Life, our greatest spiritual teacher, doesn't require us to have a lot of money or travel to exotic places. It surely is not to be found in one other human, even a spiritual teacher. Some of us may have learned from great spiritual teachers, and some may have traveled to faraway places. These may have been amazing experiences, although we know that the higher our expectations of anything or anyone, including exotic trips, sets them up to fall short. The higher our expectations, the less likely anything or anyone is to meet them. I traveled to Israel and Palestine while in seminary as part of my education, but secretly I traveled there hoping to find and reconcile with the religion of my childhood. I was so hopeful. And yet, while there, I got lost in crowds of people, couldn't see the things that I came to see, went in the exit to see where Jesus was buried. I just did it all wrong. And I became more disappointed and more disillusioned. Turns out years later that my own work in contemplative practices, sitting on a meditation cushion, combined with the work that we and I do in justice, such as with our Afghan neighbors, has done light years more, both of those things together, to help me understand spirituality and to come to peace with my childhood religion and experiences of that faith. There's nothing inherently wrong with great expeditions and pilgrimages. In fact, they're beautiful. They're helpful, as long as we remember and realize that most important is the body, mind, and spirit of the human being taking the trip. In other words, we are the vessel. We must be open to what life is teaching us. You may be thinking right about now, I know this, life is our greatest spiritual teacher. So I ask you, what is life teaching you? What is life teaching you right now? And that right now may be a week, a month, a year, 10 years. What have your lessons been now and over the past few years? If you were to put them into some words, what are some of your lifetime lessons? Who are you beneath all the surface? What are those things about you that are just unchangeable, that are just a part of who you are? And how do they help respond to the lessons of life for you? These are big questions and important ones for us to spend time considering, not to get lost in, not to become overly focused upon, but to consider in an ample and appropriate way. For if we don't, my own experience is that we run the risk of being on automatic pilot. We live more like a robot than a human. Michael Singer, in his classic book, The Untethered Soul, says, "You won't be living life, you'll be living mind." Life is the greatest spiritual teacher. That, by the way, is another exercise I might offer to any of us, which is that if you have books, the actual books, or if you need to go and purchase them, that you read some numbers of years ago, last year, 30, 40, 50, doesn't matter, pick them up and read them again. It's particularly amazing if you have the actual copies and you can see what you, if you're like me, which I know most of us are, we underline, we write, we highlight. What stood out to you then? So what do we mean when we say spiritual? When I say life is our greatest spiritual teacher, what does that mean? There are many ways to answer that question. I want to start by acknowledging that religion and spirituality are different. Religion is hopefully one pathway to spirituality amongst many other wonderful things. But in and of itself, religion is not spirituality. As I've said many times to you and many other people, when they say, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in the God of my childhood religion, I don't believe in religion, and I ask them what that is, and they share with me, I say, neither do I. I don't believe in that either. Spirituality means, for one thing, living with purpose. But not just any purpose. Spirituality means living with your authentic, beautiful purpose. Purpose without authenticity and beauty is simply function, and usually fulfilling somebody else's expectations and demands. Purpose with authentic beauty fills us with emotions. They're good signs that we're on the right track. Gratitude, belonging, passion, even anger, adamancy, commitment, determination. Those are beautiful too. Beautiful, authentic purpose is meaningful, it's humbling, it's awe-inspiring, and it's not about finishing it or getting it done, because we won't. Our purpose certainly may change or evolve or take different shapes over the course of our lives, but its beauty remains. Beauty, as I was starting to say, beauty can be tender, like how we feel around a young child or discovering a shoot of a new garden sprout or growth. Beauty can be brave when we show up for another person, when they're in a time of messiness or need, when they're real. Beauty can be bold and angry, taking unpopular positions out of our comfort zone, standing up for the things we believe in. Beauty is surely a sign of truth. Math is beautiful, music is beautiful, truth-telling is beautiful. They may also be difficult or painful or infuriating, and they're beautiful. Howard Thurman, one of my beloveds, calls this the sound of the genuine. Another sign of spirituality is awe. In the book entitled Awe, The New Science of Everyday Wonder and How It Can Transform Your Life, Dr. Keltner reveals the importance of awe. Awe, and I quote actually from our steeple, Mark, awe is the feeling we have when we encounter something larger than ourselves, something vast, mysterious. In such moments, you may find yourself opening up to a sense of awe. It is a long overlooked emotion that can inspire wonder, a deep sense of connection and belonging to this something larger than ourselves. Often we think of peak experiences when we think of awe, but Keltner's research proves that we can experience awe in everyday experiences, such as when I ran into the sanctuary late and befuddled because, first of all, where did the choir go? I didn't see them. And also because I just had to stop and bury my face in that lilac bush, even though I was late. I started to pass it, and I stopped, because that's my authentic beauty. The smell of lilac, worth being late every time. Everyday experiences. Keltner categorizes experiences that inspire awe from his research into what he calls the 8 wonders of life. And I'll run through them quickly, but I do invite anyone who wants to learn more to come on Thursday, May 18th at 1 o'clock downstairs in the lower meeting house, where there'll be a group conversation and process held by Mark Hodgson, who's going to talk about this book and lead us all in deeper exploration. So the 8 wonders of life, the 8 things that have been documented, researched, proven to inspire a sense of wonder. First, can be anything that is in relation to moral beauty. And I invite you to reflect upon examples in your life as I offer a few of each of them. How did you feel when you watched first responders on 9/11? The Boston Marathon, the shooting. So many times we see something on television, something awful, and we see the people running in to help. How about, have you ever seen a child stand up for someone being bullied? The bravery that they display. Awe is also experienced in collective effervescence, such as political rallies. The Women's Day March 2016-17, taking a group hike. We experience awe in nature, music, visual art, the end of life, and of course, epiphanies. All of these things remind us that we are part of many things much larger than our small s self. I also personally believe that that capital self, s self, that divine, that spark, that greater than, is also inside of us, waiting to connect with the world. When we experience awe, we remember we are not the center of the universe. We are a small but critical component of the interconnected web of life. When we experience awe, Keltner says, we are more likely to be able to, quote, quiet that interior nagging voice of the neurotic. When we are aware of our small but mighty self, absolutely essential and absolutely non-essential at the same time, we lose interest, or at least lessen our interest, in the automation of life. We awaken from a robotic trance, and we're better able to hear and be tuned to what our author or poet Annie Lightheart called the second music the music that has always been there at all ages and stages of our life. We realize it's there. Life is our greatest spiritual teacher, even when the teaching is hard, difficult to swallow or accept, even when we wish something else was being offered. So what is your life offering you? What is life teaching you? If I've learned one thing, it's that in order for that lesson to evolve, which I promise it will, we generally need to say yes. We need to encounter it. We need to go into it. We need to accept what it is so we can be in relationship and it can evolve. What is your life offering you? What is your life teaching you? How do you choose to respond? Amen, and blessed be. Let's rise in body or spirit and join on our closing hymn, 123. And Justin, I asked we sing it twice. It's entitled Spirit of Life. Please remain standing and we'll join in our unison benediction as Yvonne extinguishes our chalice. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us now and always. My friends, as we depart from this place, may you know and feel that you belong. May you be willing to recognize and realize what it is that life is offering you. Those things that you have resisted, may you have the strength and humility to say yes. Those things that you have embraced, may you feel all the more grateful. My friends, we are both essential and non-essential. Life is a gift. May we say yes, and may we make the most of every single breath we have left. Go in peace, my friends. Return again in great joy. Amen, and blessed be.